Well, you never know when he's going to make a big play. You know, they gave him the ball 23 times and threw it to him 2 times, but there's going to be ball games when a higher percentage of plays beyond the design of the play take place, because he'll break a tackle, make 2 guys miss. Actually, that ball game really didn't test him. They gave him some nice holes to run through.
Y'all know who that is, man. That right there is my favorite Eagles coach, and by extension, my favorite coach of all time. That's the great Dick Vermeil. The one who's really credited with bringing back Eagle football after the biggest lull in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles, as most of you probably know, have won the NFL championship. This was pre-Super Bowl in 1960. This was followed by horrible years. Horrible ownership, horrible GMing. You know, you talking about the 60s and the 70s, horrible. And Dick Vermeil was hired, I believe, in 1978, if I'm not mistaken. Was a former UCLA coach. I believe UCLA or USC, one of those California places, man. Came out here, pretty much revived, man, the whole franchise. Got the Philadelphia Eagles to the Super Bowl in 1980. You know, but then he wasn't able to win that, unfortunately, and retired shortly after, I believe, in 83 or 84. He's the first coach I ever remember the Eagles having. He's the first man that I ever saw cry in real time. Dick Vermeil, man. But when he speaks, I'm glad he called up WIP this morning. This is the local radio station, and he set a lot of them guys straight, man. Made a lot of sense. A lot of people making a big deal out of Jalen Hurts' the 2 interceptions, you know, that he threw in the game, which were bad interceptions, but overlooking, you know, much of the good he did in that game. And I think that's, I mean, it's typical, but it's a disservice. I mean, you go out there week 1, you play against a top team in the Green Bay Packers, who many believe that the Eagles were not better than, and you find a way to come out with the win, man. Since when do we not praise that? You know, I get last year it became this big concern and this area of focus because he threw more interceptions than he typically does. But what Dick Vermeil pointed out, you know, in his very sober commentary, was that throwing interceptions is not Jalen Hurts' profile. Of course, down there in the red zone, especially that second one, was a bad decision because, you know, you're already up by, I believe, 5. And, you know, if you take the 3 points, you're up 8, you know. So that, right, you don't want to throw an interception right there. Absolutely get that. You know, but when we look at that final drive where the Eagles took 4.5 minutes off the clock, those are the things you got to look at. You know, those are the things you got to look at, man. And now we got the Atlanta Falcons coming up. And, oh, yeah, before I get to that, you know, prayers, man, and good wishes out to Tua Tagovailoa, who took a nasty shot last night. And it looked like he may have suffered another concussion, you know, by the looks of his reaction to the hit. And, you know, we hope whatever's best for him is the outcome. Listen, if this is something that can lead to serious problems, you know, after retirement, man, I think he really should consider whether or not this is the best, you know, mode of action for him. I mean, it's for him and his family to figure out. I don't know. You know, I would hate to see Tua, you know, as a retired person, you know, not be right, you know, or suffer from certain days, or even worse. You know, some of these guys, man, they lose their lives pretty early. You know, like one of my favorite players of all time, Junior Seau. You know, man, he left way earlier than people had expected. You know what I mean? And then you have other players. It's typically linebackers I seem to find that end up retiring, you know, pretty early. I think was Patrick Willis one, and others, you know. So we got the Eagles and the Falcons coming up Monday night. I hate the fact that it's a Monday night game. You know, I mean, I like Monday night games when it's time to watch them, but waiting for those games is just, man, horrendous. But I take it that the NFL, they must like the Eagles. Eagles must get them decent ratings for them to constantly showcase the Eagles and put the Eagles on, you know, prime time where we're the only ones playing. Thursday, we're already coming off of that. Monday, the only thing I like about it is it's somewhat of a mini bye. You know, I would rather these types of mini buys happen later in the year, but, you know, we'll see what happens. All right, so what we're going to be looking at is for these next 3 weeks, which teams are going to separate themselves from the others, which teams may have not gotten off to the best start, and who may, you know, turn it around. There's a number of teams I'm interested in seeing what they do. Buffalo, I want to see if they can continue this. You know, there was a lot of talk about people expecting Buffalo to fall off because, you know, Stephon Diggs left, and you had a number of defensive players left. But, you know, they're off to a good start. Josh Allen's kind of stepping up, playing some really good ball. That defense is probably the biggest surprise of them all, you know. So the Buffalo on one hand. The Chargers I find very interesting. You know, you bring in a guy like Harbaugh, who pretty much, I mean, it's almost like he cleaned house, especially with the skill positions. And what I assume, if you know, look at his history, what he'll probably do is build that team the right way, which is from the offensive and defensive lines, you know. And they were able to win last week, you know. And Justin Herbert, he needs that right type of coach, man, to get him right. Because, you know, the kid's talented is all get out. I think everybody understands that, you know. But what you want to see him do is be a winner, and which is something that Herbert has not been. You know, he's been kind of like a stat guy for those stat people. Dallas Cowboys are very intriguing to me. Coming into the year, we know about all of the off-season nonsense, turmoil, games being played between Jerry Jones and some of his top players who he has to pay. I think Jerry was extremely disappointed in those guys at the end of last season, the way they folded to the Green Bay Packers there in Austin, Texas. And I guess, you know, he's pretty much going to run it back. You bring back Zeke, I guess, to bring more locker room continuity and leadership. I suppose that was the Zeke move. It worked out for them week 1 against the Browns. I don't know what's going on with the Browns. Maybe they're suffering from the lack of a running game with Nick Chubb. But you look at it like they were able to win games down the stretch with Joe Flacco without Nick Chubb. So the question is this just a week 1 thing last week? Or are they really that bad? It hurts to see Deshaun Watson, a player that I used to hold in such high regard from college over to his years in Houston with the Texans, to looking at him now. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen such a fall from grace, besides maybe with Carson Wentz. And here, he has decent, you know, weapons on the outside to work with. Now, I don't know how far along they are in their program as far as the, you know, the offense. I need to look into that. Do they have the same coordinators and so on from last season? You know, those types of things I do need to look at before I can give a full, intelligent commentary. But my point is, I'm curious how good Dallas Cowboys really are. You know, because is it that the Browns are that bad, or is it that Dallas is that good, or is it as I suspect? It's somewhere in the middle. Dallas probably caught the Browns at the right time, is my guess. And now they have the Saints. I don't know that the Saints are a much better team, but the Saints are coming off of a very impressive win. You know, albeit against a team that is not like that impressive, but it's interesting to see what happens here. Dallas is one of them teams, man. I mean, you know, they'll go out there and score all those points against one team, and they can show up the next week and not show up. You know, I don't know if that was like a hype game. Dak just got paid and CD just got paid, so they, you know, wanted to go out there and handle their business, and then next week they come out there and that high is no longer there. That's the thing, you know, we want to see with the Dallas Cowboys. Chicago Bears, I'm interested in seeing how they look. The young rookie Caleb Williams, they were able to get a win with some really, really aggressive defense that turned the offense over rather, and they were able to eke that out. I just tell Bear fans, man, you know, just be patient with the kid. I'm sure they will, but it's also a thing where I know the Bears fans have like been waiting for a quarterback forever. Matter of fact, in my whole life of watching the Bears, I've never seen the Chicago Bears with a quarterback that I would consider great. Even Jim McMahon, you know, to me was not like you know, the greatest quarterback. He was tough. You know, he was tough, and that matters. You know, and he was clutch enough at times where he needed to be. And Caleb Williams, you figure he's probably the best prospect the Bears have had, man, in a while. So I'm interested in seeing his development and growth as well. What else we got? Yeah, the Lions, man, look like they're for real. You know, an impressive win against the Rams. I think as far as impressive offensive outputs, I think the Eagles, besides the Eagles, I think the Lions are the most impressive team in terms of like just real sheer offensive output. Well, besides them 49ers, they looked really good last week too. Pretty much almost like they were a continuation of what they've been doing. People talk about they're surprised that they were able to run like that without McCaffrey. I'm not. The 49ers have been a top rushing team for years, prior to McCaffrey coming and after. Those Shanahans, whether it's the father, Mike Shanahan, or Kyle, the son, those guys are masters of putting together those run schemes that allow you to plug damn near any running back there. I remember the old Denver Broncos back in the day when Terrell Davis would go down. They have other guys they throw in there, whether it's Vaughn Hebron or some of the other running backs they throw in there. And you see a similar thing here with his son and the 49ers. You know, as far as the running game goes. So that didn't surprise me at all. And then Brandon Ayuk and Debo and Kittle did what they do. But the key to that team is that damn offensive line led by Trent Williams. You know, and then that defense, that lockdown defense that they have with those linebackers, man, and their cornerback Ward, and you know that defensive line. I don't know if they still have Young. Chase Young, I wonder if they still have him. That I don't know. I got to look into that. But when they added Hargrave and, you know, the guys they've already had, very formidable. So we'll see how they go. I'm interested in seeing how they recover from a Super Bowl hangover, because that's a real thing. It's a real thing, man. Outside of them, man, you know, Chiefs are just chiefing, doing what they do. Tired of them. I don't know. Our point is, man, we got some football coming. Eagles, Falcons. I'm going to give an official breakdown of that game probably Sunday morning. I'm going to have some guests come in. There's two I got in mind. I will probably start opening the show up for anyone, you know, any of the subscribers or whoever tunes in to come on and speak as well. You know, we want to have fun with it this year. So yeah, I'll see you guys then, man. Peace out.